To the ever-increasing list of iconic Australian locations that have been declared off-limits, mostly in the name of Aboriginal cultural heritage, 2GB's Ben Fordham has been covering this important story.
We've had a massive response to our series dedicated to Australia off limits. These are areas where people used to be able to go and enjoy the beauty of Australia, and now in some parts we're locked out. It includes Kakadu National Park, Cape York, Lake Eyre, the Bunda Cliffs, the Finniss River, the Grampians Ranges, the Flinders Ranges, Mount Gillen, and of course Mount Warning. Mount Warning in New South Wales has now been shut for 5 years.
Joining me now for more on this is News Corp senior writer Patrick Carlyon. Patrick, these are iconic Australian locations. I would argue every Australian should have access to them, and yet we can't climb Mount Warning. I think that ban's been in place now for around 5 years, and the list seems to be ever growing, including locations right here in Victoria.
Look, the Grampians down here in Victoria, I mean, it's been basically limited to rock climbers. Apparently it's world class for rock climbing. And part of the problem here, and it's true of Mount Warning as well, is the processes that happen for these bans to come into place are so secretive. They're driven by activists who have agendas to push. In a lot of these cases, the wider Indigenous community doesn't feel that the bans are justified. We don't understand why these things are happening, and they're not explained in a way that is at all convincing.
And I think the Voice referendum brought a lot of these issues to the forefront. These were things that perhaps worried people, but they were too shy, too hesitant to talk about this, to post about this on social media. But now it's on the agenda. And I think what you just said about conflict even within the Indigenous community, because there are a lot of Indigenous groups who are against these various bans. They think they're counterproductive. And they're not required. They're not required to respect, to show respect for that area.
Yeah, and look, it's unhelpful to the bigger Indigenous cause. I mean, some of these sites should be protected, but we need to understand why they need to be protected, and that's not happening in these cases. And it's, as you say, the pendulum has swung back a little bit. People are a bit more daring in saying, in sort of, expressing their sort of views that, hang on, this doesn't make sense. This is, pandering to a small group of activists as opposed to the wider community interest. What's going on here? And I think we're seeing that more and more, which is to be welcome.
Absolutely. Australians should be able to say what they think on this important issue.